Hello guys, it is Shivam here. In this video, I will explain you how to integrate the email authentication in Flutter app by using Firebase. As you can see, I have just finished creating the entire UI for the login and sign up page. Now we are going to add authentication using the power of Firebase. So let's move to the Firebase and give your project name here. So I'm writing auth app here. Now click on continue, again on continue. Now give your default account for Firebase, create project. So as you can see, Firebase is creating a project. So wait for a few seconds. So our project is ready. Now we need to add iOS app first. So click on iOS. Now as you can see, we need Apple bundle ID. So we'll move to the Xcode and copy the bundle identifier from there and paste it here. Click on runner. Now signing and capabilities. Copy the bundle identifier from here and paste it here. Now click on register app. Now download the Google service -info.plist file and paste it on Xcode and make sure it should be Google service -info.plist file. If anything is written rather than this, then make sure you edit them as you can see on the screen. Now paste the file below the info. Now click on finish. So it is done. Now click on next, again on next, again on next. Now continue to the console. So as you can see, we have successfully added the iOS app to the Firebase. Now let's move to the authentication because we need to enable email or password section to get the authentication from our Flutter app through Firebase. So as you can see, we have successfully enabled the email or password section. Now let's move to the perf dev and we need to add some dependencies in our Flutter app. So let's write Flutter. So let's write Firebase core here and we need to copy this package and paste it on perspec.yaml file. Now let's move to the Firebase auth. We need this package to get the authentication in our Flutter app and we can connect it to a Firebase. So click on that and copy the package from here and paste it on perspec.yaml file. Now use Command S to run the package in our Flutter app. So let's move to the pod file and we need to update the version of the iOS. So I am making it to 13. Now let's move to the main.dart file as we need to add the 2 lines of code here. Let's move to the signup.dart file and add the some lines of code to access the email authentication through the app. Now we will need 3 strings, namely email, password and name, so we can get the data and we can save it here. Also, we will use text editing controller so that we can get the data through the controller what user is typing on this text field. So I will create 3 controller for name, email and password. So text editing controller name controller is equals to new text editing controller. So it is done. Now I will create the function namely registration that will execute it when the user will press on sign up button. So let me add the few lines of code here, then I will explain you after writing the complete code. So if password is not equals to null, I will make the user to create the ID using email and password. So I have created the function name create user with email and password. After creating the password, I will show that the user has registered successfully. So I am using the snack bar here. Now, if the user uses the weak password, then I will check that through e.code function and show that through snack bar where it will show password provided is too weak, and if the email is already in use then will show that account already exists. Now we will create the global key. This will help us to gain control over the form state and can perform the validation, submission, etc. Now wrap up the column widget with the form widget and give the key here. Now we need to give the controller and validation to each text field and we'll check that with the global key if the user has wrote all the things correctly in this text field. In text form field, I will give controller is equals to name controller and will give a validator here and will check the value is equals to null or it is empty. If it is empty or null, then we'll return please enter the name, and if it is not, then we'll return null, and we'll use this same case in all other two text field. So it is done. Now let's move to the gesture detector and we need to add the function for sign up button. Now in if condition I will write form key dot current state dot validate because as I told we will check the each text field with the help of global key and save each information in each string. So I am writing email is equals to mail controller dot text to get the text from the mail controller. Now same for the name and password. Now at last we will call the registration function so we can register and sign up the user into the app. The reason for using the set state is here because we need to update the email name and password string. So I am writing the set state here to update the email name and password string. So it is done. Now let's move to the terminal and call the flutter run command. Just wait for a few seconds. So we have successfully launched our app. Now check the sign up page. So I'm writing the name here, Shivam Gupta, and give your mail and same for password. Now click on sign up button. Wait for a few seconds. As you can see, we have registered successfully and we move to the home page. Now let's move to the login.dart file and we need to add two strings, namely email and password, to get the information what the user have entered on the text field. Also, we will use text editing controller so that we can get the data through the controller what user is typing on this text field. So we will need two text editing controller here, namely for email and password. Now we will write user login function so that we can add the function in the login button and can make the user to login into our app. So we have wrote complete user login function. Now we will create a same global key as we had wrote on the sign up page. Now we will wrap up the column widget with the form widget and give the key here. we will do all those things similar what we have done on the sign up page. Now we will add the controller and validator to each text form field to validate what the user has entered in those text field. As I said, in validator, we'll check a value. If the value is null or empty, then we will return that please enter your email. And if it is not, then we will return null here. Now let's move to the gesture editor and add the few lines of code for login button. Just like a sign up page, we will write the same condition in if. So I will write form key dot current state dot validate because as I told we will check the each text field with the help of global key and save the information in each string, and we will use a set state here to update the email and password string. Now we will call user login function to make the user login into our app. So it is done. Now we'll perform hot restart. One thing I want to tell you that to perform hot restart we will use a capital R, and for hot reload we will use small r. So just press capital R and you can perform the hot restart here. So let's move to the sign up page and I will create the ID here. Then we will use the same ID to get to login in into our app. So I'm writing the name and email here. Now password and click on the sign up button. Wait for a few seconds. So as you can see, we have registered successfully. Now I will use the same ID to log in into our app. I will write the same email here. So I'll use iuse345 at the rate gmail.com. Now same password and click on login button. Wait for a few seconds. So as you can see, we have successfully logged in into our app and directly come to the home page. So it is done. Now let's move to the forget password.dart file, as we will use this case when the user enter their email and they forget their password. Now they will click on forget password text and move to the forgot password screen. Now again we need to add the few lines of code here. Now we'll create the string name email and we'll create a reset password function here. So it is done. Now we'll create the global key just like same for login and sign up page. Now wrap up the column widget with a form widget and write the key here. I think so. I have forgot to mention the text editing controller. So let's move and mention the text editing controller here. So write text editing controller mail controller is equals to new text editing controller. Now mention this controller on the text form field and use the same validator just like other cases in the login and sign up page. So we'll check the value if it is null or empty. If it is null or empty, we'll tell the user to enter the email. If it is not, then we'll pass null. So let's move to the gesture detector and add the few lines of code to execute the send email button. Let me explain you the process after writing the email. When user clicks on the send email button, then one link will go onto their email ID regarding Firebase. After clicking the link, they will redirect to add new password. After adding the new password, they can come to the login section of the app and can use the same email ID and the new password to log in into the app. In if case, I am writing the same condition that I have used to wrote in sign up and login page. Use a hot restart function, move to the login section. Just for example, I have forgot this email ID password. So I will click on the forgot password text and move to the forgot password screen. Now I will enter the same email here. Now click on the send email. Just wait for a few seconds. As you can see, password reset email has been sent. So check your email. So as you can see here, there is a Firebase link. Now click on this link. Now enter a new password here. Click on save button. So as you can see, you can now sign in with your new password. If you found value in this video, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated with my future videos.